it's very hard to pass it without proper guidance. It's almost impossible. I can tell you now, given the complexity of the Australian OSCE, which is very different, by the way, to like the UK OSCE that the nurses sometimes see on YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
So especially with the NCLEX, we have a very different approach to NCLEX preparation as well, Rhea, because we don't just launch this review just for the sake of getting money from the nurses that we look after, right? We make sure that they are being guided from the beginning of their journey until their end.
Welcome to the 25th episode of Making Australian Migration Easy. I'm your host, Rhea Thorley. I am the CEO and principal lawyer of SOLVi Migration, an Australian immigration law firm. I come from a background of working for 12 years in the immigration department, including training visa decision makers and time as a director in the Department of Health. So naturally, SOLVi Migration has a focus on helping particularly healthcare professionals and registered nurses is our favorite to deal with in terms of migrating to Australia. So today we are delighted to introduce an expert because many nurses, in order to get the first step, which is their AHPRA registration, are going to need to attend to other additional clinical requirements, such as an NCLEX examination. They also may need to do an OSCE as well. This can often make nurses a little bit nervous. So I'm delighted to introduce our guest here. I have Christine Duang, and she is the program manager from AuRNpathway. So she is the founder of this organization, and it specializes in providing training and help to internationally qualified nurses so that they can pass the OSCE and NCLEX exams. So I just want to, in order to clarify, Christine has a Bachelor of Nursing from the Australian Catholic University, and she's got years of clinical experience before becoming a nurse educator in Australia. And she's also qualified in training and assessment. So she's very much well equipped to have this discussion. So thank you and welcome, Christine. I'm very excited. The first question I'd love to ask you is, so what inspired you to start the AuRNpathway training company?
First of all, Ray, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity for me being here at this moment, helping the nurses. And going back to your question, what inspired me? Well, I have to be honest, right, Rhea? I came here to upgrade my future, right? And so I was actually meant to go to either US or UK because my auntie wanted to help me to get there. But I met an Australian citizen, and which is my husband now, right? That's why I'm here in Australia. But what inspired me actually is, when the new pathway has launched, Rhea, all of us that work for AHPRA was thinking of a business out of it. And I was like, please start the business and I'm going to work for you, right? So that's my mentality initially. But came 2020, that's when I realized, hang on, I've been a nurse teacher, in Australia for quite some time now. I've actually been part of an OSCE curriculum myself, right, for one of the college here in Australia, and obviously part of the, launching of the actual OSCE, right? And I was teaching back home as well. And I thought my mom also, by the way, Rhea, is a principal. So I probably got the teaching background for her. And so I thought, why not creating my own curriculum for the nurses? And so, and I saw the gap, that they more likely be needing being part of that OSCE curriculum, that I can help these nurses. Okay. And so I felt like, I need to create that curriculum. And that actually what inspired me, Rhea, to help the nurses pass the exam. That's all about it. And actually, Rhea, I'm proud to say our first batch of nurses, it was 100% pass.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great outcome. And look, it doesn't surprise me though when I hear about your background and the expertise and you actually coming from working where it was actually being built and being a nurse educator as well, and having gone through the pathway of coming to Australia and becoming a registered nurse here as well. So you would have a huge amount of expertise in order to build this amazing, I guess, training, because I know for many clients that come to me, they're so nervous and it's like they almost give up on their migration dreams as a registered nurse because they're worried about doing these exams. So it's wonderful to know that you've got this school and this training program that allows people with 100% success to actually get through their examinations and then fulfill their dreams to become a registered nurse in Australia. So the next thing I wanted to ask you, so many of the nurses kind of assume as soon as they've applied for AHPRA registration that they're automatically going to be approved. Now, we both know that this is not the case. So could you break down a little bit who needs to sit OSCE and NCLEX exams as part of the AHPRA registration?
Yes. So actually, this is what the nurses don't know, Rhea, in terms of the process. They could actually check this straight away in the AHPRA website. And this is what they call, when you get to the AHPRA website, it's called self-check-in. Okay? Mm-hmm. So this is where they can just go straight ahead, put their qualifications in, and they will instantaneously tell them which stream they will qualify. That's how easy it is, right? And this is free, by the way. So if they've gone through that self-check-in, the AHPRA will then have that, instantaneous assessment, telling them, are they going to go to stream A, stream B? And so, so nice and straightforward like that, right? So also, if you're, that's the first thing that you need. But with the stream B, focusing on that, they do have to, what the AHPRA call outcome-based assessment, which is that one they have to pass the NCLEX and OSCE.
Okay, fantastic. So I guess could you then talk about, so how does AURN help people, help these internationally qualified nurses to prepare if they get stream B? What's the next step? How do you help prepare them for that?
Yeah, look, we offer NCLEX and OSCE review. So we even have this package that we offer to nurses. So then they save more, right? Who don't want to save more. So with that particular of a package pathway, we help the nurses from the beginning of their journey until they secure their registration. We actually have partners for work visa sponsorship that we could offer them as soon as they get their registration. So if you are struggling, Rhea, being able to have been, able to roll out this new OBA pathway, it's very hard to pass it without proper guidance. It's almost impossible, I can tell you now, given the complexity of the Australian OSCE, which is very different, by the way, to like the UK OSCE that the nurses sometimes see on YouTube channel, right? So especially with the NCLEX, we have a very different approach to NCLEX preparation as well, Rhea, because we don't just launch this review just for the sake of, getting that money from the nurses that we look after, right? We make sure that they are being guided from the beginning of their journey until their end, until they're getting their work visa or work.
That's amazing. And look, it really is so important. And I guess, in support of that, I can say I see so many people thinking, I'll just do it myself and save money. But actually, when you fail and you need to keep re-preparing, you're paying for new exams all the time and travel and all of these other things. So you don't end up saving money, you end up spending more money overall. So it's a saving and you get the support that you need to get that successful outcome. That to me sounds like a win. That sounds to me like, why would you do it any other way? It makes perfect sense to me. An athlete doesn't think I'll just go and train on my own to win. They go and they get a coach. They get someone who knows to give them the right instruction so that they can succeed. I think people should think about this. So that's a wonderful process that you've set up with the AuRNpathway. So with that, in how you're helping them, what kind of different training formats do you offer? So do you have online, in person? Is there a bit of a mix of both available for people?
Yes, so we actually offer both, Rhea, and following up earlier, we do offer New Zealand OSCE preparation as well. So we do have online currently for New Zealand, but we're looking at establishing our new office in New Zealand. So watch out there, New Zealand nurses, right? We're coming for you. And so in Australia, Rhea, we have offices in Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane, and Melbourne. Right?
Amazing.
So, yeah. And so given the demand also, we're now, because currently we're partnering up with Royal Brisbane Women's Hospital to use their simulation center. But because of the demand, we're now opening a simulation office for our own, which is going to be very soon. So which the nurses can access the simulation lab, like where I am now, unlimited. Right. So, so I'm also very proud to say, Rhea, that currently we are the only review center that have been able to achieve 100% passing through online and face-to-face. And I just wanted to clarify, by the way, this is not every schedule. Okay. So, the different schedule has got different percentages of passing, but currently we're the only one that have been able to achieve that online and face-to-face. Right. And so as well as, all of our passing rate area is all true to what the nurses have achieved, by the way.
That's amazing. That's such a good outcome, and, definitely a testament to the program and showing people. I said, it makes perfect sense. If you want to have success, go the AuRNpathway, and then you've got that guarantee of success, because you can see many others have walked this path before, and they've been able to get their support and get the registration and then continue on to become nurses in Australia. So it's, as I would say, a no-brainer. Just do it. Why wouldn't you do it with the right support? We all love to have a community of people who can support us. So that's amazing. Thank you.
Always.
Now, I guess something that's really important here for nurses to understand, and it wasn't until I had conversations with you previously that I didn't really realize that not all of the OSCE and NCLEX exams are the same. You started to touch on that a little earlier. So the NCLEX required by AHPRA in Australia is not necessarily the same as the NCLEX required by New Zealand Nursing Council. Is that right?
Yeah, so there's actually a difference there, Rhea, in terms of the NCLEX and OSCE, okay, which I'm going to tell the nurses now. Let's talk about the NCLEX first, right, which is in Australia, they term it Australia MCQ for nurses, and New Zealand terms it as New Zealand MCQ for nurses. But the difference is that obviously these both tested the nurses' capabilities, knowledge in terms of the Australian and New Zealand context. But with the Australia, they're very specific in a sense that they're only focused on safety, and as well as very focused on the New Zealand healthcare context. However, with the NCLEX, though, it's more of very similar to NCLEX, which is the National Council Licensure Examination. So very, very similar to that. Sometimes even the unit of measurement, it's being asked very similar to the NCLEX examination. So that's the difference. With the OSCE, as we all know, it means standardized tool to evaluate the clinical competence of the internationally qualified nurses. But the difference with the UK, let's talk about the UK first. It's actually very different, Rhea, because we've had nurses from UK doing their OSCE in Australia, and they are glad. Like they literally told me, Christine, I'm very happy that I've enrolled in your review center because it's very different from what we've done from UK, right? Because UK has got 15 minutes, and they're more based on what you need to say and the knowledge that you have to really tell the examiner there. Okay, but Australia and New Zealand for nurses awareness, it's almost the same. Okay, so the only difference is the time actually. So, Australia only have 8 minutes, but New Zealand has got 10 minutes as soon as they go inside. But what's being assessed is the same. And also what's different is the nursing forms. So that's the only different with the way they run it with the Australia and New Zealand. So very similar in terms of OSCE. But NCLEX, it's somewhat different.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you for talking me and, all of our listeners through those differences. It's important to understand. I did want to touch on, and I think I'll just go to this point. I know that there's some nurses who are excited about the future of nursing registration because they've heard about these changes coming in April 2025. I just wanted to flag with people. So yes, the Health Minister of Australia has announced that direct registration pathways will be opened up for nurses who currently have registration in the US, UK, Canada, Ireland, Singapore, and Spain. And they have 1,800 hours of clinical experience since getting the PIN in that country. I just want to reiterate, though, that is still proposed. It's not in law. And things like if you did a diploma qualification or you did a bachelor top-up or you just did a master's, it's not clear how they're going to treat that. AHPRA still hasn't worked that out. So it's really important that even those nurses still know that potentially you may have to do one of these clinical exams. But of course, the AU and AuRNpathway is there to be able to support people to have that successful outcome. So that is really wonderful to know. And to understand. So what I often say to nurses with passing these exams, it's not really going to be, it's like I gave the athletes example. It's not just about knowledge, it's going to be about your strategy and your preparation. So just remember that. And I guess given your experience, Christine, in training nurses, what advice would you give someone about how to start preparing for these exams?
So AuRNpathway, Rayan has helped thousands of nurses, right? To be registered, they're all actually registered nurses already. And I guess, when you say help them in preparation, like I always tell them, apart from the financial, right? Because majority of the time that's going to be the challenge, right? Preparation wise as well. But look, I always tell the nurses it's an investment, right? Because that's a big difference when we're talking about money. They are investing into their future, and that will reap a harvest, right? Once they put that in. So I hope that's not going to be a challenge anymore. But to help them prepare, look, we've always once you enroll with us, Rhea, I can just assure these nurses that they are in good hands. Majority of our nurses, enroll with us because of the support that they are getting. We are very responsive. And also, I always tell Rhea, the nurses, it's always about the mindset, right, as well, in regards to preparation. Because if you don't have that proper mindset, like we were talking earlier, Rhea, about, getting all ready, So all of these things matter in terms of for them to prepare, also having the right mindset, and as well as getting advice or guidance from those who have actually been through it and been able to prove themselves that they could actually help. right? And I'm glad that we've been able to help those nurses. More than 1,000 nurses of them, Rhea, by the way. And so we're proud to say that in terms of preparation, we're always going to be there for them.
Oh, that's very impressive. Over 1,000. That's, and as I said, that 100% success rate, it really is a testament. So grateful that you've been able to take all of the skills and expertise that you have in order to, found the AuRNpathway and create that community of support for nurses. I just wanted to touch on what you said there before about an investment. I think it's really important that people understand the importance of that. When you decide to become a nurse, you obviously are someone who wants to care and to give, and to, you're giving life-saving services for people, and you invest your time in university to be able to get that qualification and to pass your exams. This is another step in order to be able to practice in Australia, because of course it's a different clinical setting to where you've originally come from. So look at that as an investment and don't be dissuaded. Just get the right support. And like you were talking about, you will reap the benefits. Australia's patient ratio numbers are some of the best in comparison to many other countries that I'm hearing about from nurses. Right. And certainly compared to the cost of living, the salaries that you enjoy as a nurse in Australia are substantially higher than a lot of countries that people are coming from. And the last point on that is actually the taxation rules in favour of healthcare professionals in Australia. And we have tax offsets and benefits such as salary sacrifice, so that people can pay for things before the taxman touches their salary, pay for rental mortgages, purchase of a car, for the education for themselves, for their children. So keep that in mind, because, you're making the investment now to reap all of those benefits.
Right.
So, Christine, based on your experience working with internationally qualified nurses, do you think that nurses need to start preparing now? Because I know we just talked about those changes that are coming in April 2025. And if so, what kind of preparations would they do now, or should they just hold off and wait?
Rhea, I actually heard this from you, right? Make sure to prepare early, isn't it? Make sure have the documentation ready, because again, as me myself working for AHPRA previously, they do take a bit of time. I'll be very honest, but obviously this is just to make sure that everything's in place, right? That everything needed to be assessed properly and all that. And again, this goes the same in any changes that could happen. As much as we wanted to be prepared, there's always like a, I guess a buffer, what you call it, or like a, adapting a season. And so that would take a bit of time as well. Right. So, but the best way to do at this moment, apart from gathering all your documents, I believe, is just to wait for an announcement from AHPRA. So once they launch it, really go directly from them, or an expert like Rhea, right, which is a principal lawyer that could definitely help you make the process smoothly for you. Because having to deal with AHPRA, there's always a gray area. So it's always best to put it in the hands where they are more specializing on this area.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Look, Christine, it has been absolutely fantastic to have you on Making Australian Migration Easy. Thank you for sharing that. We want to remind nurses that this AHPRA registration is the first step of their successful migration, and also that the migration processes are separate to the registration processes. So make sure you do have a good strategy to understand all of the steps you're going to need to take. There's different pathways in Australia. You maybe are getting an employer who sponsors you, or we do also have opportunity for skilled independent migration, which is based on a number of points. And of course, the first thing we need, if you're going to be doing that as a nurse, for any of those, you need to have your AHPRA registration first of all. So if you're an internationally qualified nurse and you need to navigate the AHPRA registration process, the best way to avoid this confusion and delays, obviously we're keeping informed. Myself and my team are regularly in contact with AHPRA as the proposed changes are coming to fruition, but we actually have a course, nurseregistration.com. We're building an online community of nurses to understand how to navigate and also to assess their credentials, and which is going to be the most streamlined and cost-effective pathway. For some, they may still want to register via the New Zealand Nursing Council or to practice in New Zealand. Others may be taking the direct AHPRA pathway. The nurse registration course will actually take you through that because, as Christine has alluded to, it's actually a very rigorous and detailed assessment process by AHPRA. So just chatting to people, you might get a little bit lost. And as different changes and laws are rolling out, the nurseregistration.com is actually run by my firm. So you will have up-to-date information within that community to navigate your successful registration. And then, reach out to our firm if you're wanting to get your migration strategy. So I'll just reiterate. So what you get with nurseregistration.com is step-by-step guidance. So you can determine your correct registration pathway. You will have access to an exclusive community of nurses who are also navigating the same process, updates on the AHPRA and New Zealand registration changes, support from experienced professionals through the online community. And plus, if you need to prepare for the OSCE or NCLEX, members of the nurseregistration.com course will get exclusive affiliate link to access the AURN's pathway training programs. So if you identify through that course that you're going to need to prepare for one of those, we've now heard from Christine, there is a way to ensure that you're able to get success through those examinations. Once again, Christine, thank you so much for joining us on the show and sharing with us the success of taking the AuRN pathway. How can people, follow you and find out more, maybe through your social media?
Thank you so much as well, Rhea, for the opportunity. I do admire your dedications to your clients and to ensure that they're always getting the information that they need. And we're going back to your question. We're on Facebook and Instagram. It's AuRNpathway. And I'm on YouTube as well. By the way, everyone, it's Nurse Teacher Christine Australia. So make sure to follow, and Instagram, Christine Dawang. And don't forget to follow and subscribe. I only post inspirational video, right? And informative. So yeah, I'm here to help you. And thank you, by the way, Rhea.
Thank you. And we'll certainly share the links. As I said, we're happy to see ourselves as a partner and collaborator of the AuRN pathway to help internationally qualified nurses to get their AHPRA registration and, build their dream as a nurse in Australia. So the next thing I just want to remind people is that if you need to get clear migration advice, including right from registration through to visa processes, please go to our website and book a consultation. That's www.solvi.com.au. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share. Of course, drop any comments for other questions that you have in future shows. I hope that I get to collaborate with Christine again online as these changes roll out so we can keep you informed of how to get your successful registration. Once again, thank you, and I'll see you on the next episode of Making Australian Migration Easy.